Hello everyone, Ryan here. Star Wars Most Wanted by Rae Carson. I recently listened to the audiobook version of this, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I liked it. I mean, granted, there were some parts that I felt could have been somewhat shortened, but ultimately I still enjoyed it. I mean, okay, I might be biased because I'm a big Star Wars fan, so yeah. But pretty much this, I want to say it's almost like a retelling of the recent Solo movie. It's kind of a retelling, but more so it's like a prequel to the Solo movie. Yeah. I don't know how else to describe it other than that. Because pretty much it's about when Han first met Kira, and if you've seen the Solo movie, you know who I'm talking about. If you haven't seen it, then hey, too bad. No, I mean, Kira, she's supposed to be kind of like, I want to say like Han's, if not his first love interest, kind of like somewhat love interest, then definitely like the first that, you know, he actually like really truly cared about a lot. Yeah, that's how I would describe it. So, of course, you know, it takes place on, you know, the planet Corellia. I believe that's what it's called, Corellia. And pretty much other than that, the bulk of the story is also about Han and Kira, along with some other characters. Some of them recognizable, some of them not so recognizable. But essentially what they do is kind of like the first time they get involved in like the whole smuggling thing. And of course, obviously this is like way before Han had his own ship. Also, it was supposed to be way before he even like considered being any kind of like actual pilot. And so, yeah. But pretty much I would say like there's definitely a lot of dialogue in this. So yeah, I'll admit there were a lot of parts where I kind of tuned out, mostly because it just seemed like, for me, it seemed like the bulk of the dialogue really didn't add a whole lot to the overall plot, I guess. I mean, I don't know, if you've listened to this audiobook, or if you've read the physical book, obviously your opinion might differ from mine, but that's how I felt. Like the dialogue didn't really, like, I mean, most of the dialogue, not all the dialogue, but most of the dialogue I felt didn't add too much to the overall story, the plot. So, essentially what happens is Han and Kira, along with some other characters, they stumble upon these like blueprints or schematics of some kind. And though it's never made quite clear in this audiobook, I want to say pretty much it's kind of like they somehow get their hands on, like pretty much like the rough draft of what would eventually become the blueprints or schematics, whatever you want to call them, for the Death Star. So, except that at this point, you know, it's not referred to as a Death Star. It's just kind of loosely referred to as something that the Empire is possibly working on, or working towards eventually building, constructing. So, yeah. So then Han and Kira, they kind of like have a debate on what they should do. with these blueprints and whatnot, and they consider selling them up to the highest bidder. And pretty much what happens is, like, it turns out, once they make it known that they're in possession of these blueprints, pretty much a lot of, people come out of the woodwork, bounty hunters and smugglers and other nefarious beings. I don't want to give too much away, but so, and then of course, there's a couple of interesting action scenes, I guess, because not really scenes, because there's no visual, but action moments, I guess. Like there's one moment where, they're like running from some bad guys on speeders and whatnot, and so, which I found pretty entertaining. Another thing I found entertaining was Chewbacca has a part in this. Again, I won't give too much away, but that's what I like. Pretty much, like, especially the part when they first come across Chewbacca, it reminded me of when Han first comes across Chewbacca in the Solo movie. So, because it was very similar. That's why I said in the beginning of this that I feel like it's kind of a retelling, but not exactly like a full retelling. So I guess technically like a reimagining or something. Yeah. But it could also work as like a prequel, so I don't know, that's how I feel. And then, of course, the ending is like, it was all right. I mean, I kind of felt like the ending was a little bit anticlimactic. But then I guess that kind of makes sense because, it's not the end of Han Solo's overall story, journey, and also, of course, it's definitely not the end of the story for the character Kira. And one thing I will say is that I definitely felt like, I don't know, the character Kira, she comes off as pretty complex. I mean, in this, but also based on what I remember from the Solo movie. I mean, in that, she also came off as complex too. I mean, more so than when compared to like Han Solo and Chewbacca, or even like Lando Calrissian, or so. Yeah, I don't know if like Disney has any plans to like have that character Kira like in future Star Wars movies. I don't know. I mean, because I kind of feel like her character could possibly end up being like more of a behind the scenes kind of character. Like possibly like one of those characters that's like mostly behind the scenes for like most of the saga, but then makes appearances here and there. But mostly is behind the scenes, but kind of like, she ends up orchestrating / manipulating a lot of other key characters and or situations. I don't know, but that's purely speculative. I mean, that's purely speculative on my part, so I'm not saying I know that for sure. I'm just, kind of thinking out loud there. So, but overall, as far as the rating goes, I would give this audiobook definitely 4 out of 5 stars. Yeah, 4 out of 5. So yeah, I would recommend it to obviously Star Wars fans, diehard Star Wars fans, sci-fi fans. Yeah, and even like, I don't know. I was going to say romance, but no, there's really no romance in this. And there's maybe like, I want to say 1 or 2 moments when it kind of feels like, maybe could have been some kind of romance, but ultimately, no, there's no romance. But yeah, if you're a big Star Wars fan, I recommend you listen to the audiobook or read the physical book. Or if you're just an overall sci-fi fan, I do recommend it. So, yeah, that'll do it for this review. Once again, I give it 4 out of 5 stars. And thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And don't forget, till next time, keep it real, keep on rocking, and peace.